We should know at the very latest by December 15th who the new head admins are going to be. But the new term will begin on New Year's Day. It will be the new head admin term. Terms will last 1 year in length, and we do have a process in place for calling a vote of no confidence and replacing a head admin should they prove to be malicious. This meeting is going to be recorded. Um, just for anybody who does wish to join the stage and speak, know that your words will be recorded. The chat will not be recorded, or the text chat. At this moment, there is not an option to state that you're not comfortable with any of the candidates. Um, for this first election cycle, the pool was only open to current and former staff who had managed to complete their training phase. For the next election cycle, the one starting in a year, it will be open to all members of the community. The way that the elections are going to take place is there will be three head admins at any given time. One will be voted by the players, one will be voted by staff, and then the third will be a host pick by Zender himself. The current candidates or the individuals who put themselves forward, asking to stating that they would like the position, um, are the current candidates are Hallis. He is our lore master. He has written or wrote a large portion of the lore for the server. He has been serving as a head admin for longer than I've been staff. And he is currently a senior admin. Um, Roxy, who is a member of the maintainer team, she is one of the staff trainers. Um, I do not recall offhand when she was made staff. I apologize for that. Um, Sunlight Eclipse Yaki, is one of our moderators. She has been staff for going on 5 to 6 months now, I'm wanting to say. And myself are the current candidates. I will also say that this community meeting, we are putting a hard limit on it at 2 hours. I don't think we'll end up hitting 2 hours, but if the meeting does end up running a bit long, um, just know that we may end up cutting it off preemptively. And as I put in the announcement, you are able to view the candidates and their votings there. At this point, I am going to open the floor to questions. This is a community town hall. Um, this is more or less a public Q&A for you as a community to ask us as staff anything that's on your mind.
Howdy. My question is, I also said it in the text chat.
In regards to the ship test,
Plus SS14 server to expand to a new market, as this one
um,
is very good and it might help us in longevity long term.
as far as I'm aware at this point, there are no plans to make a Space Station 14 server. Let me check the admin project before I answer you on the ship test. I know that we did have an admin project for at one point in regards to it, but that
Mhm.
was proposed on March 3rd by Roxy, one of the head admin candidates. The exact text saying BubberStation ship test would fuck so hard. Um, but that was posted in March, and it has not had a post in that project since mid September. So that is a project that has been discussed. It is currently a stagnant project.
Mm. One last question. Would it be possible in the announcements page or whatever, have a admin or something make in the suggestions a sort of thing so people can vote on it to sort of glean interest from it from the community as a whole?
As far as a Space Station 14 server,
14 or ship test, either or.
um, I
Just because
believe
we do
I
have servers on 14 that are ship test.
I believe at this point the biggest holdup with that wouldn't necessarily be the community itself, but rather the maintainer team and how much of their effort they're wanting to put into it. So
Mm.
I can definitely, as I said before, this meeting is being recorded. I will push the proposition towards the maintainer team to see if that's a project they would be willing to take on. But ultimately, converting Bubber to Space Station 14 would require a rather large amount of code work, and as far as I understand, um, Space Station 14 and Beyond code aren't exactly compatible, so it would be a lot of rebuilding systems from the ground up.
Mhm. Thankfully, we have a good foundation with servers like Coyote Frontier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. That is it.
All right, thank you kindly. And where do I'm seeing in chat right now that the topic of advertising has been is being brought up. We have been discussing internally the topic of advertising on either E621, which we are currently leaning away from, as well as advertising on F list, which is the more likely candidate. Um, we're not trying to pull users who are just there to look at porn. We are trying to pull role players, and we feel that F list advertising on F list would be the better avenue to go in regards to that. Um, Joni Potato asks what the general purpose of this meeting is. Um, this is not necessarily a meeting that has a purpose. Um, this isn't me up here trying to grandstand and say here's what the head admins are doing. Here's how the future of the server is going. Um, this is a community town hall where, just as you just saw, users can pose any questions to the staff team. What we're doing behind the scenes, what projects we have in the works, issues that Bubber has, and how we're working to resolve them. Um, and basically, this is our first major push for community transparency, which um, a few months ago or about a month and a half ago, that was being brought up repeatedly as a major issue that the admin team is rather opaque and it's hard to see what's going on behind the scenes. Charlie, what Half-Life map is that? Are you talking about the are you, what uh Bengal asks what steps will be taken to ensure that members of the staff, including Zinder himself, operate according to procedure and not of their own accord. In regards to that, we have instituted an internal policy wherein members of staff may institute a vote of no confidence, um, which can result directly in members of the staff team being removed. Allie has or Smudge has asked to join, and then she took away her request.
Hi, sorry for the poor quality audio. I'm in my car. Um, I had a question in regards to, I suppose, it would be more concerning, nitpicking instead of. I feel like sometimes I've noticed in watching friends get A helps or do A helps, that there's been sometimes cases of rules lawyering nitpicking that
So
like
are you talking about from the staff team in regards to players?
yeah, from like the staff
The admin roulette spins another
people who
turn.
are like ghosting and just kind of like observing, and then like they'll do an A help instead of the person affected,
So
and like
you're talking about in return. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you. I'm just trying to clarify that I understand where you're
no, it's
at.
okay.
You're talking in regards to like ghost like unaffiliated or unaffected third parties such as ghost or observer players sending a helps in regards
Those
to
and
situations
yeah,
that they're
those
not involved
and
in.
yeah, those and admins who might be more rules lawyery than sort of like how rules are taken for D&D,
We've
where it's spirit of it versus the letter of it.
in regards to that, um we have as senior admins we have taken a rather strong push in the past few weeks as far as reviewing the actions of all staff. Previously, we were typically critical of our trial moderators and our moderators because at that point in your staffing lifetime, you are still in a more or less a training phase. You can expect your decisions to be second guessed and questioned, and you're expected to be able to defend yourself. Here in the
Right.
past few weeks, we have taken a rather large initiative to ensure that all members of staff feel comfortable questioning the decisions of any other member of staff. If that makes sense.
Okay. So like
Nobody is
not
free
just
for
so it's not just, oh, we need to punish this person harder. It's more like maybe we need to pull back a little bit because that seemed like it was a little
yeah
harsh
that
at the time.
yeah, and it's very much a situation where I'm personally of the opinion that unless an incident is outright egregiously bad, that staff should be playing more or less hands off. If something goes down and it doesn't affect the round in a major capacity, if it's only affecting two or three people and none of them send an A help stating that they're upset, why do we care? Why should we care? Our job as administrators isn't necessarily strictly to enforce the rules. It is to curate an experience. Going back to what you said to the dungeon master example, um, every good DM who has ever ran D&D knows that sometimes you got to hand wave the rules for the benefit of the experience as a whole.
Oh, I have to go, but that I wanted to get that in real quick.
Of course,
I
of
was
course.
curious. How do I X?
um, there was a question posed a moment ago in regards to Serum. I will get to you in just a moment. In regards to if um, Zender himself gets no confidence. Zender is, as many of you are aware, is in somewhat of a special situation, given that he is given that he is the host of the server. That said, there have been situations in the past that are documented in our or that have been documented where senior and head admins have demanded that Zender take a more hands-off approach to the server, and I'm trying to keep. I'm stupid. Keep that in mind. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say this, but it's the best way that I know how. Um, there have been incidents where we've had to tell Zender, "Hey, stay in your lane and back off." And generally speaking, he's respectful of those. All right. Hello, Dark.
Hello. So, my question was actually concerning events. going forwards. In the past, I've noticed that usually the events that go well, um, tend to be both involving the majority of the player base, but also um, that they're not like a spur or a whim. One of the problems I think all of us have experienced lately or previously was with the staff team hosting unprepared or lowly prepared events.
I will say in regards to that, that all major events that end up hitting the server almost universally have at least 2 or 3 weeks of planning going into them as far as the large scale involves everybody events. That said, Space Station is a notoriously difficult system to curate and get things set up. Um, and sometimes the event runner either doesn't have the knowledge to to bring exactly what their vision is to life, or they don't necessarily have the support of the people who do, either through scheduling or lack of interest from those other individuals.
So, question, would that be a matter of training within the staff team, or would you consider that like a matter of like competency? Like, where are we going?
I would consider that to be a matter of competency rather than
Mhm.
of training. Most of the tools that go into hosting an event aren't ones that necessarily get gone over. We don't necessarily go over those in our training procedures, um, because as a I'm speaking as a staff trainer here, not as a senior admin. And I do want to clarify that. Um, a large focus on for me anyway, a large focus for me on training new staff is making sure they understand the tools that they need to administrate the server, and less the tools that they need to run events. Um, our staff are encouraged to play around in their own time, to go onto the overflow server and play around with buttons that they might, that would probably get them fired if if they're
Yeah,
popping them on the main server.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So I have a follow-up question then. Um, when it comes to staff expectations for these events, is there a
I
precedent?
understand what you're saying. Um,
Yeah.
so when you say is there a precedent as far as the events, like are you talking about in terms of the style of event or
I mean, like the role play and the quality and the do's and don'ts, of course.
so
Is there like
with
a
events, especially large scale whole server affecting events as you're mentioning. Um, I'll be honest, it's kind of the Wild West. It really is. It sounds awful when I
uh,
say it sounds awful when I say it like that. But what I'm getting at more appropriately is large server affecting events often deviate from the normal rules and normal expectations of the server. If I were to go tonight and say, hey, in 1 week we're going to be hosting Nukies versus Death Squad, on BoxStation, you could pretty reasonably expect that like some of the rules are just going to be ignored.
yeah.
Um, that said, I am seeing it kind of echoed a bit in the chat right now that events do need to be better planned. Um, that is absolutely an initiative that we can undertake,
It's
and
a friend killed my grandma.
yeah, that's absolutely an initiative that we can undertake, and start trying to workshop proper event admin training. Not that we have event admins, but having a guidebook for here's how events should go, and here's the tools to make those happen.
Um, as for I think I also wanted to talk about an event that happened recently, which was the game show event. I um I noticed that there was a odd reaction to the event, I would say. Between
That event did get a lot of pushback.
Mhm.
I don't think that's particularly controversial for me to say. Um, and I cannot speak for the entire staff team when I say this, and I am by no means trying to take a swing at the member of staff who ran that event.
Of course.
Um, it was her first large scale event of that type, and to my knowledge, was running on archaic snippets of code that haven't been touched in like 3 years. So just
Uh,
keep that in mind. Like a lot of
I don't
the
blame them for the event. I was more shocked by the reaction from the player base towards it. But obviously, that was not something the staff have
yeah,
control over.
and that's something that like you said, we really don't have control over. We could have the best event in the world, and it could be perfect for 99% of players, but there's always going to be at least that 1% who doesn't enjoy the event. And historically speaking, from what we've seen in our feedback channels, players really don't speak up when they're having a good time. So
Um, as to answer the question that's in the community meeting channel, the event reaction was in Ghost. People were a little disappointed with the chat. They were a little impatient, and a lot of people had the sentiment like, "Oh, why are we doing an event? This is just a game show," and they got upset that was on the main
yeah,
server.
and on that one, better planning could have gone into it on our end. Um, I don't think a lot of us realized that it was going to completely like replace the map on the main server, and basically turn the like you are forced. We don't like running events where you are forced to participate in order to play on the server. If that makes sense. Like even if we're doing like, hey, here's a scheduled Nukies round, you always have the option of going to the Ghost Cafe or to the Interlink.
No,
So
I understand that. Yeah.
but we do try to give players an out as far as if
Okay.
they just want to play play their chat box simulator and not engage in the event.
I have a final question, and then I'll be done. Um, in the future, would you? Because I think we agree that we should have a good quality of events, right? I think we should have a variety of events. I think we should maybe even define event types, right?
I might
Um,
after this event, some maybe today or tomorrow, I might open up a channel or a forum for community suggested events.
well, not just that. I think that maybe the staff team and the players could work on something that creates a overall precedent. So, apologies, um, of what we can and should expect from the server.
I don't disagree with you in regards to that. I think
Mhm.
that we should kind of, or we could absolutely put together like an actual mission statement and say like because that's been a problem for a while, is what is Bubber, like what is our niche, where do we live in the space station ecosystem. And you know a year ago I would have said that it was and like ERP friendly plus Antags, but at this point there are 7 other servers that all accomplish that same thing, and I think taking time to sit down and really define what we are is something that we really need to work on.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
I'll drop out.
Trying to read back through the chat here as it's going, catching up on things that I missed while I was speaking. Um, let's see here.
Howdy. The question involves like the niche of us. The main reason why our niche being niche is because the server started using our code base. What's our plans to stay unique despite so many servers using our code?
So that's something that the biggest competitor that Bubber has right now, for better or for worse, is BubberStation. And it's something that's been discussed a fairly decent amount in staff channels and has been discussed amongst the community. And what we're really pushing towards right now is just trying to get better quality of players, better quality of role play. If you go to Splurt right now, and I want to clarify, I am by no means taking a shot at the server. Um, they have their own community, and their community is very happy with them. But right now, um, Splurt is using Bubber code with their own code on top of it. They have all of our features plus their own unique items, plus the fact that you don't need a whitelist or an age vet to get in at this time. So realistically speaking, if you put Splurt and Bubber side by side, because they are the same code, which one are you more likely to join if you know nothing about the servers? Because me personally, if I didn't know anything about them, I would join the one that doesn't have a mandatory age verification to get inside the door, just because it's a lower barrier to entry. That said, in regards to us and how we're trying to defeat that, is from what I've seen of Splurt, their quality of roleplay tends to be a lot lower. Characters without flavor text, out of character notes. You end up with a lot of meme characters and things like that. And if that's what worked for them, that's great. Um, but
I'm
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I just want to say I'm not a staff, but I will second that statement. I will agree.
We're trying our big focus right now is trying to get that space station experience where you can have, goofy bar roleplay, or, your spicy dorms roleplay, or your Antag roleplay. But at the heart of it all needs to be roleplay. That needs to be the locus that is always focused on in everything that we do is roleplay quality. And I say a lot of it here recently. You've seen we've been rewriting a lot of the rules, rewriting a lot of space law and internal policies to make achieving that goal a lot easier. Give me just a second, Charlie. I'm reading back through the chat and trying to. Bangle asks, will there be a system implemented that incorporates staff and players, allowing for non-staff to have appointed positions and permitting them more impact on policy and decisions? Um, as far as I'm aware, there are currently no plans to implement an elevated player position. Um, any of the other staff in the audience are more than welcome to step forward and correct me in regards to this, but I am personally not a huge fan of players having certain players being more equal than others. I'm reminded of, I think it's Nova has like their Nova Stars Council, or what? Yeah, like the Nova Stars system, and I don't think that it's a system that we're quite looking at right now. Um, see.
I'm just gonna go and say that we're not gonna implement that. We're not gonna implement veteran. Like all it's been used for, like Skyrad and stuff. It was like, oh, you broke one rule, we don't like you. Nah, you're not getting the hemophage species. We're not doing that. Absolutely not. Simple as, we're not doing that. Okay, now I'm gonna be silent again.
Pitbull asks if we're getting funded by Patreon. We do have a Ko-fi that you can find in the I believe it's in one of the fucking server channels. I'll link it later. Um, I believe we might have a Patreon, but there are ways to donate to the server. If I can't find them, you can reach out to Zinder himself. Um, Charlie has asked to speak. Uh, oh, sorry. Before I bring on Charlie, Molly asks, are we going to continue the niche forward, focusing on increasing roleplay quality, or are we going to pivot the server into a new direction? At current moment, there are no plans to pivot the server into a new direction. Um, the we believe that Bubber has a good it's in a good place as far as what it wants to be. It just needs a little bit more help to actually get to be that. And now I'm going to bring Charlie onto the stage.
I'm just speaking for all the people here. Can you lower the slowdown to like 30 seconds, 15 seconds instead of a minute?
The reason that I have it set to a minute is to help because I'm ADHD as hell. If the chat's flying by, I'm going to be missing a bunch of questions flying by. So that
Well, the chat is still flying by because the freaking admins are just bypassing it.
yeah, I can lower it down to 30 seconds. Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all.
Sure. 30
Please
seconds
don't
slowdown.
spam the ash, baby. Please do not do it.
All right. Eoff has requested to come back.
I just wanted to say for the record, don't actually spam the Ash baby. I did that as a joke in response to slow mode. I didn't. I was prepping to send that before you said it was going to get slowed down.
Yeah, like if people are spamming the chat, I'm going to take the slow mode up to like 5 minutes. So I am trying to keep this meeting on topic and keep things going. And if there's a lot of extra shit in the chat, I can't keep up, and I'm going to be missing questions. So
Okay, that was what I was going to say. Anyways, the question I saw: what kind of events do you guys want to roll out more often? A lot of the events that have been getting a lot of good reception lately are events that everyone can participate in, not just singling out command or security, and they're also like opt into at least a little bit of an extent. So probably events more like that.
Bangle,
It's gonna be interesting.
I will get to your questions about staff transparency in a moment after Charlie has said his piece.
No, answer that question first because my question is quite long and complicated.
Okay. Bangle asks, what other measures for staff transparency are going to be implemented? We are planning on doing one of these town hall community meetings at least once every 3 months. Um, in addition, we are kicking around the idea and workshopping a form of public ban system. Um, we're trying to work out how we can manage to get the information from that sanitized and what information should be going into it. Because the last thing that we want is, you know, somebody goes and blows up and plasma floods the station, and then we post oh yeah, a user was banned for plasma flooding, and now everybody in the server is like ostracizing and witch hunting this one dude because they did the thing. That's really what we're trying to avoid in regards to public bans, and that's been the big holdup in regards to that so far. Um, but user transparency, we are we're more town halls. Um, we're adding our internal admin policies to the wiki so that way players can actually um, see how we do training, what we're trained on, what we're informing new staff of, and potentially a public form of public bans or a sanitized form of public bans. All right, Charlie, go ahead.
What is generally the staff's or maintainers' consensus on crew obtainable loot? Just like generally in loot, but underneath that umbrella of loot is armor, weapons, guns, melee weapons, etc., etc.
That is a very
I'm,
nebulous question, and Roxy, if Roxy as a
I'm a
maintainer is
maintainer.
able to,
I'm a
yeah,
maintainer. In general, we don't want gateways to have like much gamer loot in it. There's a reason the Half-Life gateways admin spawn only. It's not that like it get randomly rolled and people just abuse the hell out of it. Same with space runes. If you add one, don't like add like random bullshit in it. Like for
we're,
example,
we're
there's
not we're
one
not trying to
gateway.
have like fucking
Yeah,
double energy sword spawning in a random.
no, not like there's this one gateway, Caves DMM, and it has the wizard weapon Mjolnir in it, and I'm like no, maybe that's too much.
It
I would
has
say
it's worse than that. It has the Mjolnir, and then it has a demon heart, which
Yeah,
yeah, that's
there's
what I'm
the yeah.
saying.
It's got a
massively.
bunch of like a
It's
bunch of
got a bunch
shit.
of bullshit. I would
Um,
say even things like Krav Maga are like a bit on the fence, so do be like careful what you would add to a new gateway.
But is it more so like, is there a limit on, is there a hard point in what
There's no
can
hard
or what
limit.
can't be added, or is it just risk reward and the risk has to justify
It,
the
it is
reward?
it is also risk reward a lot. Yeah, I would say if it's
Okay.
like really hard and it requires an entire team of players to do it, then maybe the rewards could be fine. Like maybe a bit better, but like,
if
it's gonna be
if you're walking into like the museum of the syndicate and able to pick up whatever the fuck you want just because it's laying there, like probably not going to be merged.
No,
yeah.
yeah.
Arthur has
Like
just pinged me, has not said anything. He's just pinged my name.
I think Arthur can. I think Arthur can. I'm gonna drag him in.
Yeah, go ahead. Raise your hand to join, and we can get you up here.
Ah, okay. So one of the main issues with gateways actually is that they're always like they're not dynamic. So it's really easy to just figure out this one tactic to just bypass everything. So anyone will eventually figure out how to like essentially cheese a gateway. This is just a essential problem with gateways, honestly.
Every because they're static, they will always have a guaranteed best way, most effective way to solve them.
Yes.
And once the gateway is solved, instead of it being a challenge that rewards loot as a reward, it is just a loot box that takes some time to open.
Yes. So if you are making your own gateway, I suggest trying to think of ways how to shake up things a little, like add some kind of randomization, like maybe different mob spawns, like RNG mob spawns in different spots, or even completely different mobs. That's a good starting point. But we also have ways to like essentially do small template maps, which you can switch around between different variants. So these are just ideas. If
So
you
I know what you're talking about, and if anybody remembers this, if anybody was around for this way back when, way back in 2023, there was a rework for the Caves map that had many, many different variants of it, and it was very random in nature, but there was a lot of good loot in it, such as NTR borders, which, and that's not even the best thing you could get from it. However, it was all under the premise of extreme risk with it. However, there's a problem with the randomization right now, and especially with a lot of the making the rooms random, and because I know what you're talking about, is that there's a it's very hard to sync up uh certain things. Like for example, whatchamacallit, if let's say I wanted to hide a safe in a room and then have that safe in that room have a note that tells you where the safe is somewhere else. It is very hard to actually sync up the note with the safe. And as of right now, using the current system that's in place for making certain random rooms or rooms with templates, uh, there isn't a good way, or at least an easy way, to sync that up.
I mean, I would just use a global variable or just make spawning the one in, find the other instance of the other object and just set the change. But
Okay,
yeah, this is just
I
coding
don't think this
stuff.
is a conversation that
Yeah,
we
I
should
don't think
have
this is a
right now.
conversation for the community town hall. You two can work out nerd details later. All right.
But yeah,
What are
more
the
gateway maps good.
Mike asks, what are the opinions on crew accessible guns? A few months ago, there were a lot of cool foreign guns at cargo terminal, and now most guns are just this gun comes from from the Federation and are pretty generic. That would be another maintainer question as far as the thoughts on crew accessible guns and the mindset between what's allowed and what's not. This is me prodding the other two people on the stage who are both
All
maintainers.
right. Hi. Yes. I'll get NH in here after. Basically, a lot of guns were in the character mode, but they were removed with like the rest of them removed from the guns themselves, partially because they were just like really strong. Serve like other than like being like kind of different, served no real purpose and like just condensation of what we had basically. Mostly because some of them are just way too fucking strong actually.
So Salty had that was Salty's perspective that he didn't want similar guns that have the same purpose, that each gun should have its own niche. But I don't really have the same opinion. I don't care if there's variants. But yeah, we didn't really remove all of them. Most of them are still in the code, a lot of them, maybe not MCR. But we could totally just like nerf them. Someone could go through them if need be and make their numbers saner and bring them back. That is an option.
I'm going to bring in best board here. I'm skipping over Biop for right now, if only because Biop has been on the stage 3 times now. They can wait. All right,
Okay, hi.
Outlaw, what you got?
So my biggest concern right now, I mean, I guess it's like a nitpick sort of thing, is are the staff gonna do anything to sort of crack down on characters who just kind of disregard like the lore or play in a really strange, like almost antagonistic way, and like either ask them to change or encourage them to play different roles, such as like Interdyne or anything like that?
Would you be able to provide an example of that without the character name?
Like if a character, for example, is just on the common radio being like, oh, NT fucking sucks, I would sell out to the syndicate for a pack of cigarettes. Like I feel like a character like that in this sort of setting would be grabbed by HR and then asked like the rest of the
No, I
station
get what you're
never
saying. Like,
talk about them again.
let me actually, I have the let me pull up the rules here. I believe that's actually part of our believable character rules. Where is this here? No character may act on the basis of reasoning that disregards their job, their life, or the lives of others. All characters should act not to lose their job or their life, and that is directly written into the rules right now. If you are seeing characters who are doing things along the lines of that, I encourage you to either help either in round or in the Discord. I would probably prefer in the Discord on this situation, if only because Discord tickets allow for them to be a bit more long form and allow for a bit more investigation to take place. With the exception, clowns, like Roxy said, clowns get the clown pass. Clowns can do whatever the fuck they want.
Clowns are meant to be funny, if you know, whatever.
Yeah, like if we have if we've got like, syndicate agent, the clown, sure, whatever. But if you are seeing characters who are consistently disregarding their own life, the lives of others, or their job, which is, I believe, what you would be referring to there, like, oh yeah, NT fucking sucks. I would sell out to the syndicate in a heartbeat if they sent me a recruiting letter. Da 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 da. That would be a violation of the believable character rule, and is something that administration would need to touch base with that user over.
Okay, cool. I guess like another like sort of extension of that is I am seeing a few like one note characters that just kind of like they have one bit and that's it, and I know that there's like a thing against that in the rules as well.
Roleplay Rule 3 be interesting. As an extension of storyteller, repetition of the same activities and actions is boring and stifling to new ideas. Admins reserve the right to request that players or the server overall find new strategies or make changes to their playstyle in the interest of keeping experiences fresh. This is something that we actually do enforce a pretty frequent amount. However, this is also something that is normally done behind the scenes. We're not making a big spectacle out of asking people to change their characters. There are a lot of people in the audience here who I personally have spoken to in regards to the be interesting rule and asking them to change up their characters. we just recently had a ticket with myself and 14 players in regards to this. So
God.
that is something that we do we do look into, and it is something that we do curate.
Okay.
The problem is that when it's only one character doing the one note thing, it's if they're not super disruptive, it's a lot of the times it's hard for staff to notice without another player pointing it out.
Yeah. We did
Yeah.
recently like get like one of the one note characters, and we basically spoke to them like, hey, keep the spit the clown, don't do this regular crew, and it's helped like at least a little bit.
Yeah.
If we see it, if it gets reported, we at least take a look at it, and we work off of that.
Yeah. We're not
Yep, that's
omniscient.
all I
Yeah,
got.
we're not omniscient. We don't see everything, and in many instances we do depend on player reports to kind of tip our hand and say, hey, this is something that that we should be looking into.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah, no worries. Who else has their hand up? Nobody at this moment. Oh yeah, that is something that I should bring forward as well. After this community meeting resolves, whenever that may be, 1 hour at most. If nobody has any more questions, we can end it sooner. Riva will be hosting an event round. It'll be a kind of like a BubberStation gala party to celebrate the fact that we have passed 10,000 rounds total. What will we do if there are people who are very on the line of shitter-ish behavior? Thank God I have the rules up. I have the rules pulled up right here. Core rule 0: if you regularly come close to breaking the rules without actually breaking them, it will be treated as if the rules were broken. The big example that we had of this in the past, like the most famous example that Bubbers had, was Jack Gray, where technically speaking, Jack Gray never actually broke the rules. He came close a lot of times, but because he was consistently towing the line of what's acceptable, that's why Jack Gray ended up getting executed. For those who weren't around for Jack Gray, his entire modus operandi as a character was round start, go to Lava Land, loot the ID off of the dead miner that is a static spawn, use that to break into cargo and order a full kit of tools, and then more or less bait people into telling him no. Because he was relatively mechanically skilled with the game, and whenever somebody tried to step up to him, he would just beat their ass. And this was a consistent thing that he did round after round. Yeah, it's funny once or twice, but once it happens, the 60th, 70th round in a row, the gimmicks kind of run its course. Yeah. Yeah, no, he was doing this consistently for months before before he was finally killed. 60 or 70th round in a row. Like it was what? I don't understand.
6-7.
I don't understand.
My God, you really are like 32. Christ.
I was born in 93. What the fuck do you want from me? Pickle Plant has requested to speak. Yo, bro, Charlie, if you're trying to join to explain a meme, I'm gonna break your balls.
Oh, is this all right? As I was saying, what will be the policy regarding ghost rolls and regarding end station interactions?
We actually
Because
we actually already have policy in regards to this. Let me pull it up.
great. Post the link in the community chat, please.
Policy for ghost rolls. This is
Finally, I haven't.
this is a subset of the this, by the way, this is linked at the very top of the rules, like the actual server rules and the other important pages. We do have
I can't believe I haven't found it.
I know it is not linked in the rules page. I will make sure that right now I'm actually going to link that. Give me just a second. I will edit that in right now. But
yeah, one more thing. Could I maybe ask for a bit more relaxing on the policy of ghost rolls, because I remember like I know that stealing stuff from the ghost rolls is a big no because it fucks them over or something like that. But just in general, using their facilities, like for instance, buying a protolith kit from the golem mining vendor,
I
isn't really,
I spoke to you in round a day or two ago.
Oh, you're the guy who told me off for that.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mewchild.
Hi.
But the reason that we don't allow that isn't necessarily to avoid the station fucking over ghost rolls. In your instance in particular, it was in regards to the Golem ship and the Liberator's Legacy, which is the reason that we don't want the station having that is the ancient proto-lathe there is more or less a universal department independent proto-lathe. It can make almost anything that every proto-lathe combined can make. It's too strong. We don't want that on the server because it gives the station itself an unfair advantage. It's not so much about fucking over the ghost rolls. It's that a lot of the stuff that appears in the ghost roll spawn areas has to be a lot stronger than what the station gets because the ghost rolls are working with less resources.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Mutual, for the clarification.
Yeah, no worries.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Splurt does not, to my knowledge, Splurt does not have the ancient proto-lathe available to science unless they go out and get it through other means. Xenoarchaeology being the big one. Who else has their hand up right now? Nobody. Bangle says to port Splurt Infinidorms and my life is yours.
Spooky is working on it.
So is Cat actually. Staff pet Cat.
Oh, people, two people working on it.
Yeah.
I'll tell them to contact each other.
Okay. Yeah, so we actually do have plans to steal Splurt's Infinidorms, to my knowledge, actually, including their donator only ones because they're Creative Commons share alike. Can we get more of the Splurt sex items? Just curious, just asking for a friend.
Totally. If someone makes a PR for it, it's pretty likely it will be approved.
We Charger. We actually have a PR in the works right now. Astrum Rexus is working on it to port over and modernize the Splurt portal panties and the portal toys, with the caveat that we want to give them the ability to transmit anonymous, subtle messages in the same way that the Lustwitch portal bores do. So that's actually something that's already been like in the works. I believe it's we're paying them like $100 to do it, or $60 to $100. I can't remember. I'd have to check the bounties page, but we are making sure they are well compensated for the time that this particular ball lake is taking. $60, yes. Yes, Charlie. That's actually what we're going to be doing for April Fools next year. Is porting BubberStation into Roblox. I'm sorry to ruin the surprise for all of y'all. Isaac asks, how ambitious can you be with Op4s, considering that we also run regular antags? You can be as ambitious as you want with an opposing force application. We do not have a limit for how ambitious an individual is allowed to be with an opposing force application. They are opposing force applications are more or less free reign for you pitch a complete new idea to the staff, and it doesn't have to be something that a normal antagonist is able to do necessarily. But yeah, like as long as your op4 is well written, 90% of the time the staff team will be willing to go back and forth with you and workshop to make the idea happen. Security has not been mentioned. What's the stance with how you guys folk deal with the constant bickering from both antag folks and security folk complaining about each other? As long as it stays in character, it's fine. The second that the bickering and fighting between security and antags makes the step into out of character or local out of character, that's the point where admins draw a hard line because of the mutual respect rule. I mean, you can absolutely request that. We're probably not going to approve it, um, but yeah, like as long as out of character, you keep in mind that this is just a game. Nobody's coming on here to give anybody else a bad time. Let's see. Reading down through chat. Hack should be a decent antag. Be aware that security's biggest advantage is the fact that they run as a team, and if they start calling in backup and more people start showing up, bail the fuck out. Don't be afraid to run away from a fight so that way you can start another one later. Be aware of what tools that you have, and that 90% of your antag kit is just flat out better than what a single security officer is going to be able to have. Know what tools security has and how to counter it, and above all, accept that part of the antagonist playstyle is getting arrested. Like you should reasonably expect to end up in a cell at some point. How do we feel about the level of power gaming on the server at the moment? In regards to Pitbull's question about the level of power gaming on the server, what would you be able to give examples of that? Just the way I know like where your head's at in regards to the question. Power gaming tickets are actually relatively rare these days. Um, we have had, I think, in the past, Roxy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or any member of staff can. In the past month, we've only had maybe like 2 or 3 actually actionable power gaming tickets. And one of those was just because somebody was playing xenobiology, and xenobiology is really easy to become immortal with relatively little effort. So right now, I'm actually pretty happy with how the server is in terms of power gaming. We don't see a whole lot of it. Um, so do we have any plans about antags gaming too hard on zero security shifts? It's pretty common to see antags going extremely hard when there's 0 or nearly 0 security officers or even crew.
I honestly think it wouldn't hurt to be a bit more strict on that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is
I
like,
mean, I
hey, how do I explain this? Like, it's like you're expected to fight back to the amount of force you have. You know, if you're like a level 1 goon, you're not gonna be shot with a nuke. You know, but if you're like major, if you're like a major security force, then yeah, maybe you should be doing like a more antag. I don't know. I think it's a bit of also part of an issue of like that happening a lot on low pop in particular, and they're just also not being
uh,
staff on a low pop, so it's
so
hard to enforce at times. And I don't know.
if I may, hey Salty, do you mind if I use you as an example here real quick? Because I think you're one of the better examples we have of like exactly where you should be in regards to that. A lot of the long term players, and I'm seeing a lot of people who are long term players in chat right now, know that Kyle Roberts was for the longest time like the notorious boogeyman of antags. Like everybody knew that when Kyle Roberts was off his meds, it was kind of it was swim or drown type scenario. Yeah, Kyle Roberts is off his meds. Everybody, stay out of the halls type shit. Um, he started recording his rounds, and whenever we would ticket him, he would give like the security body cam footage of what he was doing, and almost universally, it was found in those recordings that he was responding with the exact amount of force that was being thrown at him. If he was only being hit with disable weapons, he would use less than lethals. If security was breaking out the shotguns and the WT 550s, that's when he started going hyper lethal because he was absolutely matching the amount of force being thrown at him, and I think that is really how it should be, is a natural series of escalation where you know understand that antags always have the option of going lethal. They can always go loud from the ground up, but I think that if an antag is sitting back and doing like a relatively low impact, low violence gimmick, I don't think that it is appropriate for security to be rolling out with shotguns and rocket launchers and turn you inside out type shit. Uh, let me see. Serum has asked to speak. Isaac asked if there's any plans to tweak xenobiology. I don't believe there are any plans to tweak xenobio at this moment, given how complicated of a system it is, and honestly how rarely it's used for evil.
Okay, so my question real quick is just in regards to the anti policy. We've had it for a while now, and I wanted to talk about heretics and
Okay,
how they're
I
role
just got it
played.
pulled up. Heretics, standard roleplay level, standard stakes and
Yeah,
integrity,
yeah,
escalation to dependent round removal, and probable
yeah,
threat,
yeah,
implicit threat. I'm just saying that for the record, for the
yeah. You
recording.
know, I'm very well aware
Okay,
with this list. Um,
good.
just a lot of the time, I find that when it comes to people role playing heretic, like um it's just everyone thinks of like examples like Kyle Roberts, like just oh god, he rolled heretic. Oh god, Iggy's
Kyle,
moon heretic. Right.
Kyle's off his meds again.
Yeah. And it's like
Fucking tallies the stars, took off the mask.
yeah,
Like
to some people that's like, oh god, I gotta get off the station. To me it's oh that's gonna be a fun fight. But like a lot of the time I find it's actually hard to roleplay as heretics. Like heretics and changelings I think are like two of the hardest antis to actually roleplay because you're sort of forced to get violent. Not necessarily,
have you
right?
have I am gonna ask, have you played Heretic since the rework has gone live?
I have played Heretic since
Okay.
the rework. It's better, but it's also more accessible. So like a lot of new players are picking up Heretic and doing very well with Heretic because yeah, it's a fun antag and yeah, it's pretty self-intuitive. It's explanatory. It's something you get into. Um, but I feel like those sort of antags struggle. And another sort of antag I think actually does so much better in roleplay compared to almost every other antag is Bloodsuckers. Bloodsuckers have like many things going for them. And one of the things is you don't have to fight security to win. You don't have to do anything.
I
You
think
don't even
that's
have to be
that
caught.
I think that's a lot of an issue that a lot of antags kind of struggle with. The fact that while security might be their main enemy, it's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't have to be the big bad of their story.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of antag players struggle with that. I know I personally did for a while, where I felt that if I wasn't going loud and I wasn't getting security involved, then I'm wasting an antag slot. Like if I'm
I
just
feel
doing
many of the times if there isn't like that sort of antagonism, or if there isn't like a general antagonism towards the crew, that it like the antag role feels redundant, right? Like why would you
one of
roll?
one of my favorite antags that
Mhm.
I've seen here recently. Have you do you know the clown Miss Delulu? They're played by the same player who plays Cuckoo.
Yes, I'm slightly familiar with them.
They did a gimmick on, I think it was Meta Station a while back,
Actually, that
where
reminds
they
me.
they opened they opened like the first bank of the Honk Mother, and like had stolen a bank terminal, and had basically was like giving out loans by robbing the station.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that's super antagonistic to the crew in general. Like they are actively draining the cargo budget to give out money to the crew, but it's
Yeah.
also funny and it's interesting and it's unique. And
Yes, I would
I
agree.
love seeing gimmicks like that. Like seeing when you roll Antag, you should be
Mhm.
taking at least like 5 minutes to stop and think like, what can I do that's fun? That's why I like it's why I like Tangerine as an Antag. I like Kyle Roberts as an Antag because they do these
Seven
goofy,
King as an
silly
antag.
shit.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of the time I
You'll get
do
your
role play as an
validation. You'll
antag.
get your validation later. Don't worry. You stop fishing
Yeah.
for it.
No, I'm not fishing for validation, okay? If I wanted to fish for validation, I could do that, okay? I
Okay,
could just go and
but
fucking
I think that to answer your question more precisely, I think that a lot of our Antag players are in a good spot right now where they're not afraid to do interesting things. And while it's not required, it is almost universally appreciated. Um, that said, I also think that it is completely fine for Antags to sit down and focus on their objectives because from what I'm seeing as staff, a lot of the Antags who are going loud or rushing their objectives and to
yeah.
the extent to the exclusion of everything else, they actually tend to be the newer Antag players.
Yeah.
Think back to when you first started playing Antag, like you first started rolling Antag. How many shifts did you sit there with the Antag roll doing nothing before you finally managed to work up the courage to actually, go out and start doing things?
Um well,
Like,
that's a little awkward because I'll have to say none. I
okay,
I
well,
always
you
kind of
are by
fixated
and
on
far
the louder
the
antag.
exception with that because we do see a lot of Antag players where they'll roll Antag and I can watch them buy they'll open up their uplinks, they'll buy some stuff, they'll buy some powers as a changeling, they'll pick their path as a heretic and go and start grabbing knowledge, but then they just kind of stop and sit on it because I feel like they just don't know where to go from there, and that's fine. It's completely fine, and I think like the natural evolution of that is once they overcome that initial discomfort, they tend to go loud initially and don't really have much but interesting gimmicks, and then once they get comfortable with the role and with their toolkit, that's when we start seeing people start getting like really interesting and inventive with what they're able to do.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I think I'm done. I didn't quite get my question answered, but that's okay.
I did. I'll admit I'm ADHD. I did kind of lose the plot there. I'm sorry.
My concern was a little bit more towards roleplay sides of like antags and how viable they are. Like story-wise and narrative-wise, but
In regard to that, we are making a push right now to very much encourage security where if so, like, it should be kind of implicit where if an antag is doing a gimmick, security shouldn't be swooping in just to kill that gimmick in the crib.
No, and I agree. I think the sort of gamer mentality, quote unquote, like just vaguely, and toxicity of security in like recent has definitely gotten better.
Yeah, and
compared to like
and a lot of
last
that
year.
and I'm not going to be naming names here. We
Of course.
we have gotten rid of a lot of the bad actors that were kind of plaguing security for a while. And I think that's kind of why security's been kind of low population here recently is because, you know, when we as staff when we execute a high profile like, oh yeah, you know, this player has 2,000 hours of security and we just say, hey, you can't be an officer anymore. I'm sorry. A lot of players kind of, you know, they get scared and they stop playing security because what if it happens to me? And we're starting to recover in regards to that. We had a few security's population is starting to go back up, and from what I've been seeing, a lot of the security members are really kind of eager to lean into anti gimmicks lately.
Yeah. I appreciate that as an anti player, vampire main. Just saying.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I'll go.
All right, reading back through chat while I wait for somebody to raise their hand again. Talking about a bit of about conversion antags. I was wondering what would make it more palatable, if possible, in regards to conversion antags. I don't think that adding a preference for conversion antags would necessarily work. Purely because I'm sorry if I'm faltering here. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase what I'm wanting to say. How to put this into words. Conversion antags are always in kind of a rough spot, not just on Bubber, but on furry servers in general. A lot of I say our player base, but this extends to Splurt, extends to Nova, and to Skyrat before them. It was an issue back on Citadel. Players don't like being told, generally speaking, to play their character in a way that is outside the normal. If I hit you with a Hypno Flash, for example, a lot of players really take exception to that, like in character and out of character. And the rules as they are right now is if you get converted and if you don't want to be converted, your option is basically play along with the person that converted you or local out of character them to say that you don't want to play along and then cryo out of the round. So you play along or you leave the round. And we have the same thing with cyborgs. A lot of times cyborg players will do the same thing where they get emagged and they'll immediately just, or for a while it was they would go into rush robotics to get deconverted or they would just leave the round. And I don't think this is a solution that we really have any easy fix for, because right now our only conversion antags are, Roxy, correct me if I'm wrong, Hypnoflash, Bloodsucker Thralling, and to a lesser extent Moon and Flesh Heretics with some of their abilities.
That's basically it. I guess you could also change things zombies, I guess, but that's so temporary. I don't count it.
Yeah. A changeling zombie is, whatever. Go out and murder bone for a few minutes until you get put down. Thank you, Solar. How do we see forging and reagent forming at the moment in terms of balance? I think forging and blacksmithing are in a perfect balance state right now, if only because it's maybe once in every 300 rounds that we have a blacksmith pop off with like some super exotic chemicals. Even then, with reagent forging, they only transfer 1 or 2 units of chemicals per hit, if I remember right. I might be wrong in regards to that, but one per hit. I'll be honest, if you can manage to do something with a single unit of a chemical, I will applaud you. Yeah, and the weapons break over time. I think they're not oppressive. I'm remembering back to the days of when forging was added to Skyrat, and we'd have our once in a blue moon Nuki round, and you just have a blacksmith pumping out like katanas or batons filled with packs, so the Nukis couldn't fight back. Like, I do think the blacksmithing armor is a lot stronger than the weapons, but I also think that it is used rarely enough that it's not too much of an issue. All right. Iggy has asked to speak. Hi,
Is this thing
Tava.
on?
Yeah, it's on. Is this thing on? What old man?
Alright. I have a question in regards to mentoring and actual one thing that we used to do back then, mentor rounds. Is there any plans for that? Teaching
There are plans to bring back mentor rounds. Um, it's that, and we would have been doing them more recently, or more often, but the staff who used to host them, I can't I can't remember, and I genuinely apologize if they quit of their own accord or if they were demoted. Um,
Mhm.
it is an intent to start setting up regular mentor rounds. I would like to have them at least once a month now.
Nice.
Probably like the first Saturday of every month would be like my go-to. Um, but it is something that we do plan on or that I personally would like to plan on bringing back, and I might start spearheading that project if I can
My
find some time
my
for it.
all right, all right. My follow-up question to that would be, are you planning on doing it on the main server or on the overflow server? Because
Over
I know
Overflow
most
server,
part.
always overflow server for mentor rounds.
Okay. Okay, because I know we have the overflow server. Not a lot of people use it. 9 times out of 10, I know people talk about, oh, I don't like this event, but they don't use the overflow server. That we.
Most of the stuff that overflow server is used for, honestly, is staff training and for people doing like long form ERPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've definitely joined Overflow to train a staff member and seen like 2 people who have been going at it for like 7 hours straight. So all the more power to them. But so, yeah, we expect sometime within the next month that we'll have an announcement about mentor rounds on the Overflow server.
That's good. That's good. Sorry, I'm reading the chat and it's really distracting right now. So let me close it before someone says anything else
Okay.
out of pocket.
Anyway, what is your next question?
My final question. My final question. I know for the longest we've had this argument about security and antags and all blah 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 blah. Is there any way or approach that you want to make so security seems to be more appealing for new players to join in and encourage them to play security almost? Like some sort of rewards.
It goes back into my last statement on it in regards to security not shutting down tag gimmicks. I'd also like to make an initiative, and it's something that we've been discussing and have been trying to workshop a way to do that's not super. We, as staff, we don't want to be overbearing, and like if I pop the admin boink sound, like 90% of those people in the chat were gonna freak the fuck out. Um, and I think it's equally intrusive when like in game, even if you're not in trouble, like being admin DM'd is relatively intrusive. It takes you right out of the round. So we're trying to find a way that's not a way to encourage antags to prioritize on roleplay without also being incredibly like we're not trying to babysit people and look over their shoulder.
Of course, no,
Yeah.
that's the worst thing, is try to keep everything on a strangle and keep everyone on leashes.
Like
It's
what
that's
like what I consider good roleplay isn't the same as what you can consider good roleplay, and it's certainly not the same as what any random individual in the server considers to be roleplay.
it's all
Um,
subjective. It's
it's all subjective, but what we would like is to encourage users to at least make the effort. Um, there is a project being put forward by Salty right now that is actually aimed to fix that and or to mitigate. What's the word here? I'm sorry. I apologize. Um, Salty has an admin project right now, which is for a BubberStation Hall of Fame type system, where users would be able to nominate either antags or security or any player really um, who has managed to exhibit exemplary roleplay. Um, Typically, this would be at, like from security to antags or vice versa, where and the like oh yeah, John Syndicate as lone operative, instead of coming in and wordlessly gunning down the captain and nuking the station, let's say perhaps he takes the captain hostage and manages to do like a successful hostage gimmick and negotiates for the release of syndicate prisoners or whatever the fuck. Good gimmicks, good roleplay should have recognition both from admins, and we would like for that recognition to be visible to the player base as a whole.
all right. That's good to hear.
I think that would be a really good first step to assist in making security less intimidating is by encouraging antags to be more roleplay focused. If you do you have anything else?
I have nothing else to say on that. I would like you to talk about Riva's comment of how most people would like to be on leashes here. I can name three.
Castle Bravo asks, "What are your plans to get more tops?" By banning the bottoms, so that way we can sway the ratio.
Well, hello. I got two things to say. The first is I, as a way to reward good antag behavior, have we thought of the idea of like antag tokens or something where like if
We have
you if you
it
roll.
is something that is being considered where in hand with that Hall of Fame suggestion that's going right now. Um, we don't think I'm personally not of the opinion that just being recognized is enough, and that if antag players are consistently exhibiting fantastic roleplay and improving the quality of the round overall, they should be given more options in order to do just that, or more opportunities to do that. So antag tokens are on the table. It's not set in stone yet. It's still a work in progress as far as something that we're still ideating on and trying to figure out the precise details.
And my other thing I was gonna ask is, I think people really liked what we did for Halloween with the meme characters and stuff,
What
and
once every 3 to 4 months we'll be repeating that. I believe the next plan to do that is either going to be around Christmas or New Year's.
okay. More on that is can we? I was there's been a lot of really great events we've had that we've never repeated. Even stuff that was kind of goofy. Like I remember one round a couple months back, I believe, might have been even longer than that. We did a round where it was Icebox, but the admins delayed the start of the round and then they airstriked the station into bits and gave everybody suits and stuff.
A lot of the problem with that is actually on our internal side as staff. We don't have dedicated event admins. All of our staff are able to run events as they feel the need. Um, I think what could be a reasonable solution to that is actually setting us like set basically in our admin section of the Discord, setting up a thread or a channel specifically for dropping event details, how to run them, how they were ran, so that way they can be repeated later on. Documentation of the events, so that way they can be ran once again.
There was one last small little thing that really connected to that I wanted to ask, and is if we could do maybe smaller events more often. Like I feel like I think people really do like just normal rounds a lot, but I think if we did something like goofy and we like said, okay, this Saturday on this round we're gonna do this, something smaller, something interesting, like station inspectors, and like we told people when that was coming up.
A lot of the smaller events, like the less impactful events, we don't tend to announce before they happen. They tend to be kind of a reward for the act of playing. Like if you're actively playing on the server when an event happens, you get to take place in the event. And station inspectors would be the gold star ERT. Anybody who is moderator plus is able to call them in at any time for any reason. I am staring at all of my moderators in the chat right now and saying, yes, you can, in fact, call in a gold star ERT because the captain faxed you that they stubbed their toe. Like, don't be afraid to send it. Don't be afraid to send in an inspector or a like an auditor just to like
A
walk around and
full
take
medical ERT team to go find
yeah,
whoever
like
stubbed toe.
yeah, like
Gone.
like at the end of the day, I think a lot of people forget that Space Station is at its heart. It is a goofy game where everything you look at is a reference to another form of media in some form or fashion. And as long as you remember that this game isn't supposed to be super serious, and it is like if you allow goofy shit to happen, it's like the fucking Telltale games. Everybody liked that popping up in the corner, you know. If you don't have anything else, there is another question here that's being popped up in the chat.
All right, I'm gonna pop out.
All right, thank you. R Silicons and Bixie are asking about the public bans. That is something that was talked about earlier, and it is something that is in the works. Apologies. I've been talking for like an hour and a half straight. Public bans are something that's in the process of being ideated on at the moment. We're in trying to figure out what types of bans would be be made public, because it's not. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be every single ban made public 100% of the time, because a lot of the bans that we apply, like I can go in right now and say I banned this user for what on the surface is a moderate to mild infraction, and without posting that user's entire note history and outing months and months of behavioral history, that ban is going to look awful taken in a vacuum. And a lot of the concern right now is with admin transparency and basically holding staff accountable for their actions. And part of it is I agree there should be some form of sanitized public bans. It's just getting it in a situation where or getting it in the system in place to a way that doesn't immediately identify who the user wronged was is a difficult and a difficult prospect. We're not trying to have the entire community turn around and ostracize a single user because they got banned once. I'm going to take a small break. I'm going to go refill my drink here for just a moment. I will get back to the chat in just a moment. I apologize. responding to Mocha's question about the people that were abusively banned in the past year or so, um, to mirror what Riva said, there are very few users who are banned without an opportunity to appeal. I'm looking at the channel right now, and in the past year, so I'm going to say from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There have been 15 bans in the past year where they are ban, do not appeal. And at least 80% of those were because the user had been playing while underage or user was found to be underage. And those are the types of bans that are like actual blacklist. We have had 1 or 2 bans for people breaking the actual laws, 1 or 2 unappealable bans for somebody spewing like Nazi or homophobic propaganda. And looking at our blacklist channel here, one of them was banned for the user sharing child pornography of themselves on Reddit. So those are the types of bans that we apply for. Yeah, get the fuck out, never come back. Outside of that, if you are permanently banned from the server, you are always able to appeal. It is extremely rare that we kick somebody out and tell them never come back. So in regards to our silicon, the metacalming bans are normally permanent. They are able to be appealed. The reason that we issue permanent bans from metacalming is because, one, it is nightmarishly difficult to prove that beyond any shadow of a doubt that metacalming has happened. I think the incident that most people remember was the about 4 months ago where 4 people got banned, like 4 security players all got banned at the same time from metacalming. The reason that ban happened was we hopped into the voice channel with them and saw them metacalming. We witnessed it firsthand. So, who had their hand up? Nobody. I thought I saw somebody. Yeah. To echo what Riva is saying here, BubberStation handles our ban and appeal system a bit different than most other servers. Let's say that I'm looking in the chat. I see Eris is in the chat. Let's say that Eris applies a ban to you, and a few days later, you appeal that ban. Eris is going to have the first authority in either approving or denying that appeal, because at the end of the day, it was her ban. If after you plead your case to Eris, and let's say she denies your appeal, at that point, every user has the implicit right to escalate that appeal to a senior admin to review. So you get banned, you appeal it, banning admin has first dibs on approving or denying it. If they deny it, senior and head admins come in and get a chance to review the appeal. We are working on a way to share ban logs. It is something that we are actively working on and ideating on at the moment. We're just trying to figure out the exact process that we're going to go about through that. What happened if the appeal is overridden by the seniors and accepted? So banning admin denies the appeal, senior admins review it and say, yeah, this appeal makes sense. Let's go ahead and accept it. Yeah, we unban the user. Like it's that simple. Like Eris bans somebody, she denies the appeal. I come in as a senior admin, I review the appeal and say, yeah, this checks out. I just go on the server and I unban you. Like I just overturn the ban. It's just that simple. We have 20 minutes left in the town hall here before it will end, no matter how many people have questions remaining. So if you have something you want heard, now is the time to do it. I agree, Cameron Funk is a dirty pervert. This is probably the first time I have ever agreed with Yakuza in my life. Robo asked, "What are the thoughts on the relative lack of variety for antags? Voidwalkers, nightmares, and abductors, ghost spawn antags are very rare. A lot of them are close to mechanics only, but would it hurt to roll more frequently?" Um, Roxy, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you all of the ghost roll antagonists have a relatively high population limit on them, don't they? Where they like you can't roll like a you can't
Yeah,
you can't roll like Blob without 50 players. I think Dragon
yeah.
is
Blob is like 40, I think, or something like that.
I think Dragon is
Dragon is like
equivalent.
pretty high as well, but like Spaceling and like Space Trader, those are like a bit lower.
The problem with Spaceling and Space Trader, I wouldn't consider them to be unique Ghost Roll antagonists because they're just better Trader or better Ling. But in regards to like Revenant or Nightmare or Voidwalker, that is a conversation we could have with the maintainer team about possibly bumping up the weight on those in particular. Less less low, because we do see a lot of lone infiltrators roll, and I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world to instead of like lone infiltrator, maybe throw a bit more love towards like Voidwalker or something like that, something a bit more fun. What are general guidelines to make a round more interesting as sec or at antagonists? That really is a question I don't have an answer to because Salty would probably be able to answer that better than I am. Salty really likes writing essays and giving like detailed guides. He doesn't I do my antagonist sec playstyle, I just kind of feel things out. Um and I'm not able to um really put into words the way that I roleplay or know how to roleplay as an antagonist or security. Remove Silicon states that as a comment more than anything, with the recent admin shuffle, in the past, admins, staff in general, not knowing enough about the game leaves a bad taste in the mouth, particularly when the players having to explain mechanics. If you are trusted to moderate the game, you should be able to understand and play every job at least to a minimum extent. I 100% agree with that sentiment. Um, it is in our admin guidelines that we give while teaching is that you should know at least the bare basics of every role in the server. And if you don't, because like God forbid, God help me if somebody asks me a question about atmospherics. I'm fucked if somebody asks me about atmospherics. But I have resources available where I can go to ask. And I think that's the important thing is not being afraid. Is staff need to not be afraid to ask others for second opinions. God, I've done it like 4 times in the past few months where there's been an Atmos question come up and I've immediately like DM'd like fucking Shiro Mizuki like Shiro, I need your help. Please help me. How much of a ball ache is it to make 2,000 mole of hypernobilium? I don't know. So, but I don't expect staff to know every single facet of the game, but I expect staff to not be afraid to ask to get the information that they need. Yeah, I 100% agree. And I agree with you, Silicons. I think that a baseline level of knowledge for like every part of the game is a reasonable expectation. And here, either this week or next weekend, I'm gonna put out a staff ping to see if I can do like a training mentor round specifically for members of staff, so that way they're up to speed on how to do the bare basics of most of the station. What is this PR here? RimWorld like storytellers. Christ. Let's not talk about the RimWorld storytellers. It's a work in progress. Are the Bubber maintainers part of a large enough pool so that the overall balancing does not lean heavily in one way? I actually don't think. Keep in mind that with maintainers, and again, this is Roxy's domain. I'm here as senior admin. She's here as maintainer liaison.
And also senior admin.
And also senior admin, but nobody cares about that.
What the L? What the L?
There is a system of checks and balances for for all PRs that go on in the server right now. Nothing can be test merged without approval from another member of the maintainer team, and nothing can be full merged without, I believe it's 2 other maintainers signing off to say, yeah, this is good to go in the server. And that is a large way that we stop things like going too far anti-tag or security sided or too much favoring one particular department, is specifically by having multiple levels of checks and balances in place. Question: is there anything that we can do to deal with the minor issue of antags all doing shit at once? I don't think that's necessarily an issue that we can solve or that we necessarily should solve. It's always kind of been the case where one antag starts going loud, another antag sees that security is distracted and they start doing their thing because now they're less likely to be targeted. And yeah, it does kind of lead to security having 1,000 different things on their plate at any one time. But realistically speaking, what could we do to curb that? Are we to implement a policy where we say, hey, if security is dealing with one antag, you're not allowed to do your antag things until they're done, because I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think that's reasonable to expect or to enforce. I think at the end of the day, that's just part of playing the game. Is that you pick when you take your battles, and if you decide to do it while security is already distracted, that's just good game sense on your part. Let's see. Isaac has been asking to speak for a minute now.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, I got a small question, specifically like one end tag that has always kind of like felt out of place with the other ones comparatively.
You asked about the abductors a moment ago.
Abductors, yeah, because I feel like as far as abductors go, it's like an end tag that's not really meant to be caught because they have a lot of very powerful ways to escape.
I think
it's like it feels very disruptive without really, like, in my opinion, adding a whole lot to ongoing roleplay and scenes. It's more like disrupting things for the sake of
turn
it.
down your microphone just a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. You are destroying some people's ears right now.
Oh, my bad. Oh, sorry.
Okay. I think that abductors are kind of in a weird spot, because realistically speaking, the goal of abductors is to give other people goals. If that makes sense, they are an antag that makes antags.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like they don't
With the
influence.
like the
They don't influence the round
no.
overall. Nothing that abductors do is really like honestly. You could pretty much ignore abductors if you want to. Like they like who cares if somebody get if like you get abducted because at the end of the day, what abductors give you is a minor annoyance and a minor bit of flavor. So, um,
I want to quickly apologize for some reason. The Discord like feeding any audio, so I think I'll have to like be in the speaker thing because I can't hear anything that you're saying.
I'm sorry. You said you're not able to hear anything. I don't know why I asked. If they're deaf, they're deaf. Let's see here. Orpheus states that that there is an issue with abductors that even after the abductor organ is removed, the objective doesn't go away. Um, that sounds like a bug, honestly. That should probably be reported on the GitHub. By the way, that sounds like something that is a bug or an oversight. We have 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left in the meeting. At which point I will be closing it one way or another. Yeah, I think somebody should go and report the abductor objectives persisting following organ removal. That is definitely a bug that should either be reported to us or to TG, depending on where the origin of that is. In regards to the last question about all antags going loud, what do we do in regards to sec offset cryo? But it's still affecting the antag scaling since okay, I see what you're saying is that if security has 15 officers in it, the storyteller is going to roll antags for 15 officers, but then if 10 of those cryo, now you have 5 security dealing with a station that's scaled to 15 security. I don't think that's necessarily an issue because that's not something that I've really been seeing as a problem. Um, Theoretically, yes, that could happen, but given that our antag spawns come in waves, and normally it's 1 or 2 every like 30 to 40 minutes, I don't think that antags are really spawning to such an extent that it is outscaling security. Lord Headass has requested to join again.
I've returned again because no one else wanted to. I remember earlier y'all said in an announcement that we're having the admin election for the 3 head admins. Well, for us it'd be the 1 head admin of the 3.
I went over this at the very start of the meeting. It was one of the first items I touched on. I will go over it again right now, just because we are coming to the end of the meeting. As of this moment, as of right now, head admin platforms are made public. These are the current and former staff who have put themselves forward to be eligible for voting. No new submissions may be made past this point. So these are your 4 candidates. 2 of them are going to be made head admin. We are going to have that channel, the Headman Platforms, is going to be open for a period of 2 weeks, at which point you may question the candidates, get their thoughts on issues, see how they respond to questioning. On November 22nd, 2 weeks from now, Voting will go live and it will be on the server through an in-server poll. What you will get 1 vote per sea key. It will be weighted ranked voting where you will select, this is my most preferred, second most preferred, least preferred candidate. Voting will be active for 2 weeks from November 22nd through December 8th. On December 8th, voting will cease. We'll take a few days to process the data that comes from that, so that way we can, basically separate out which votes are coming from members of staff, because staff and players are going to be voting through the same system. By no later than December 15th, you will know who the 2 new head admins are going to be. The head admin term is going to begin on January 1st, New Year's Day. Head admin term will go into effect. The terms are 1 year. Voting will take place starting in November of every year. And we're going to aim for about a 1-month overlap between the outgoing and the incoming head admins. We also, as was evidenced by the drama at the end of September, we have instituted a policy where staff may call a vote of no confidence against a head admin and vote them out of power. If a vote of no confidence is called and it does manage to pass with a majority, I can't remember offhand if it's a majority or super majority that's needed, and I do apologize for that. I'd have to check my documentation on it. The head admin will be pulled into a board by Zinder, and they will be removed from power. They do not get a chance to defend themselves. If a vote of no confidence is called and the vote passes with a vast majority of staff agreeing that they're no good, they will be removed. As of right now, for the current headman election term, 2 out of the 4 of the following individuals will be made head admins. The candidates are Roxy, who is in VC right now, or is on the stage with me right now. Hallis, who is been senior admin for longer than I've been staff. They're our lore master for the Discord. Sunlight Eclipse, Yaki, who is a moderator and has been staff for going on 5-6 months now, and myself. So between Roxy, Hallis, Yaki, and myself, 2 of us will become head admins. Every election, there will be 3 head admins brought in. 1 voted by the players, 1 voted by staff, and then 1 that is Zinder's personal host pick. For this first election cycle, it was only opened to staff or former staff who had completed their training. I believe the next election cycle, so 1 year from now, will be open to all members of the community to nominate or to be candidates.
I have a terrible idea with the fact that we've opened it to everyone.
For next year, we've opened it to everyone.
For next year, not this year. Next year, we're working on this campaign right now.
Keep in mind when I say that is the plan for next year, details are likely to change with the and be like more over the next year. More details will come out as we finish ideating and locking in on that process. So.
I have one other small question before I jump off and let anybody else who wants to talk have a chance. You have the Discord admin powers, right?
Yes.
For the Discord directly. Is Moffington hiding in this room with us?
No, Moffington.
Is he somewhere in here?
Moffington is not in the Discord with us. I am gonna say that the reason that Moffington is not here with us right now, you may have seen in the staffing log that he has gone on leave here recently. He was here earlier. Moffington has been on the edge of a nervous crash out for the better part of 2 months now. For the longest time, he had been putting in upwards of 80 hours a week, just rewriting policies and handling the Discord and handling the wiki, and he was burning himself out in a bad way. He's finally hit a point with looking at the senior staff and the basically the staff team that we have now, where he's finally been convinced that we can run things without him leaning over our shoulders. And has gone on administrate a self-requested administrative leave just so that way he doesn't have to think about BubberStation for a while. He can go and he can relax and actually live his life without the server being his biggest focus.
That Trinket said they thought he was pregnant.
Yeah, well, not this time.
All right, I'll leave y'all to it.
All right, I've got time for one last question. If anybody wants to step up. Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out to Moffington. Like if you have good feedback from Moffington, reach out and just let him know that you appreciate him. Like he does. Moffington does a lot more for this server than almost anybody else. Like it is his server. Moffington has already made his pick. Riva is his pick for the next admin cycle. So Riva is the host pick. And of course, we're finishing this with Trinket. No voice. Why did you raise your hand if you don't have a... Anyway. Yeah, that's fair, Mocha. I am not allowing anybody else up on the stage at this point. I'm sorry. How's the general view of the server on the staff side? Do you think things are feeling optimistic or things just more mundane? I can speak for myself and a lot of the feedback that we've been getting. I know that the give feedback channel kind of feels like a black hole for a lot of people. Like a lot, it's been echoed in the past that it feels like shouting into the void. But we do read every bit of feedback, and that is a pretty big way that we gauge like the feel of the community. At the end of September, early October, I think a lot of us kind of felt that things were looking really bleak. Like Bubber was in kind of a transitionary period where it was really kind of like a swim or drown state for the server. As Riva said, and I agree, things are healing, things are getting better. We're making big strides and kind of pulling our shit together and really, really working on improving Bubber as a community. Almost all of the staff is really optimistic in regards to how things are looking. We're not in a good place right now. We're not, but we're getting a little better every day. And we're seeing that in regards to user metrics. We're seeing that in regards to the feedback that we're getting. Yeah, we have been making some missteps. I'm looking at like the round discussion fiasco that happened a few days ago, but we are listening and we are really kind of going out of our way to take the feedback that we're given in good stride. And from what we've been seeing, the community has really been appreciating it. So I think, but most of the staff tend to feel that Bubber's is in a good place, and we're pretty optimistic about how things are looking going forward. And with that, I am calling a conclusion to this meeting. It has been going on for a little over 2 hours at this point. I mentioned earlier I'm going to try and host one of these town hall meetings every 3 months or so, about once a quarter. I don't know exactly when the next one will be taking place, but you can expect an announcement about 1 month out. Yeah, and I'm going to echo what Isaac has said here. Bubber has felt better in the past few weeks than it has in a long time. Riva does not have a voice. I am acting as her mouthpiece. But if Riva or Hallis have any closing thoughts, we can go ahead and finish out this meeting.
Yeah.
Very very good, Hallis.
What I wanted to just say, what I want to say is, long live BubberStation. This is one of the best. This is one of the best 18+ communities ever created. So it is up to the people of BubberStation to increase server population and make us amazing.
Yeah. We'll probably around the next town hall meeting will probably be taking place in February to March. And that'll be a decent ways in, like about a month or 2 or 3 months into the new headman cycle. We can kind of gauge community feedback, see how things are going at that point. Riva wants to conclude with the fact that she will personally execute the next person who's annoying in this chat. I second that. I stand with Riva, and I'm gonna go ahead and be ending the meeting here as soon as I figure out what button to press. There it is.